Welcome into this edition of College Football Now, powered by Chat Sports. Tyler Jones here with you. Thanks for joining us as we preview the Vrbo Fiesta Bowl, a part of the College Football Playoff quarterfinals featuring the Penn State Nittany Lions and the Boise State Broncos. Coming up on today's show, we're going to break down the top players in this matchup, also go over what you need to watch for, and my prediction in just a matter of moments. Let's set the scene for you for this one, folks. The winner of this game on Tuesday night, on New Year's Eve, will advance to the Orange Bowl College Football Playoff semifinal and will be one step closer to competing for a national championship. They will face the winner of the Georgia and Notre Dame game that will be played in the Sugar Bowl on New Year's night. It's the first ever meeting between Penn State and Boise State, but each of them have significant history in the Fiesta Bowl over the years. Penn State, this is just their second ever matchup against a school from the Mountain West Conference. They have a 1-0 record all time. While Boise State, they have beaten a team from every conference in college football except the Big Ten. The Broncos are 0-3 all time against Big Ten opponents. We will be live for this game on College Football Now, as well as the remaining College Football Playoff games on New Year's Eve, all the way through the run to the College Football Playoff National Championship game. Don't miss out the Vrbo Fiesta Bowl live on College Football Now by Chat Sports on New Year's night, along with the Rose Bowl, the Peach Bowl, and the Sugar Bowl on New Year's Day. Subscribe now and join us. YouTube.com/ChatSportsTV. Let's break down this matchup for you more in depth. The Boise State Broncos had a first-round bye after winning the Mountain West Conference and securing the number 3 seed in the College Football Playoff bracket. 12-1 on the season. Their lone loss coming at the hands of the Oregon Ducks. They come in with the number 4 scoring offense in the country at 37.7 points per game. The 32nd scoring defense at 22.6 points per game. Meanwhile, for Penn State, they're at 12-2. Their 2 losses coming at the hands of Ohio State and Oregon in the Big Ten title game was that loss to the Ducks. They are tied for 16th in scoring offense. Andy Kolanicki, their first-year offensive coordinator coming over from the University of Kansas, has done a terrific job this year, averaging 33.9 points per game. 5th in scoring defense at 15.9 points per game. The Nittany Lions are favored in this one by more than a touchdown, 11 points to be exact. The over-under set at 53.5 for this matchup. The path to get to the Fiesta Bowl, let's tell you about some of the notable games for each of these teams, starting with Penn State. Penn State had a marquee win at the end of September, beating 20th-ranked Illinois 21-7. Then a couple of weeks later, they followed that up with a big overtime win in Los Angeles against USC. USC was playing a little bit better football back then before their season came crashing down. Then in the month of November, they took on Ohio State on Big Noon, lost that game at home 20-13. And then a month later, the Big Ten title game, a back-and-forth game with the top-ranked Oregon Ducks, the only undefeated team in the country. Penn State came up short 45-37. But then in the opening round of the College Football Playoff, Penn State got a home game against SMU, and they completely dominated that one with a 38-10 win. Meanwhile, for Boise State, they have probably the best loss of any team in college football this year. They took on Oregon, the one common opponent between these two teams, back on September 7th, went on the road in a game that Broncos fans feel like they should have won. A game that was very close down to the wire, a 37-34 loss in Autzen against the Ducks. Then they went on to beat Washington State 45-24. They played UNLV not once but twice. And on October 25th, they went into Vegas to beat UNLV in a close one, 29-24, the 24th ranked team in the country. They also beat Oregon State 34-18. And then they claimed the Mountain West Conference Championship with a home win against UNLV 21-7. Let's talk about the impact players that will be taking the field on Tuesday night. For Penn State, you got to start with the quarterback position. Drew Allar, one of the bigger names in college football at his position, already announced he's coming back next year to Penn State. Could have been potentially one of the top quarterbacks selected in this year's draft. Instead, he's staying in Happy Valley and looking to win a natty this year and potentially another one next year. Defensively, a guy to watch for that is going to be a pretty high draft pick come this April will be Abdul Carter at the defensive end position. Penn State has produced a lot of good defensive talent, a lot of good pass rushers, and Abdul Carter belongs right there in the thick of that conversation. Also going to talk about Tyler Warren, and we're going to have more on him coming up later. He is the big playmaker for this Penn State offense, does a really good job of just making life easier on Drew Allar at that tight end position. He'll be Allar's go-to guy all night long. Meanwhile, for Boise State, you have to talk about the nation's leading rusher, Ashton Jeanty, who is having a historic season, and it hasn't mattered whether they've played Oregon, whether they've played Wyoming, whoever it may be. This guy has put on a show every single week, all season long. Madsen at the quarterback spot has done a pretty good job of being accurate and taking care of the football, playing mistake-free, and taking advantage of the run game opening up the passing game for him to be successful. And then you got to talk about Virgin Morgan, the defensive end, who has 10-plus sacks on the season. He's a force to be reckoned with on the defensive side of the ball for Boise State. Who do you got? I'll give you my prediction coming up later, but want to hear from you guys first. You going with Penn State or are you going with Boise State? Type PSU for Penn State. Type BSU for Boise State. Let us know in the comments section below who you got to win this one. Let's break down what you need to watch for in this matchup. We got to start with Ashton Jeanty. It has been the Ashton Jeanty show all season long, and now here's a chance for him to show what he's made of on the biggest stage of his life, playing in the college football playoff against a tough defense here against Penn State. He's been box office material every single time he takes the football field. It's must-see TV. And now going up against this tough Penn State defense, how will that offensive line of Boise State be able to hold up and let Jeanty go out there and do his thing? So far this season, Jeanty is closing in on 2,500 yards rushing. He's also been somewhat of an impact in the receiving game as well with 116 receiving yards, averaging over 7 yards a carry. And how about this? 30 touchdowns to go along with it as well. He was a Heisman finalist, came up just short. Ultimately, that went to Travis Hunter. Ashton Jeanty potentially playing with something to prove after getting snubbed for that Heisman Trophy. And he's also chasing history as well. Jeanty is just 131 yards away from breaking Barry Sanders' all-time rushing record that stood for many decades in college football. And although he's played more games than Barry did when he broke that record, his rushing attempts number is less than Barry's number from when he set that record. So what a season it's been, and potentially could cap this off with a college football playoff win and a record-setting performance on Tuesday night. Will Ashton Jeanty break Barry Sanders' rushing record when it's all said and done? Weigh in the comment section. Let us know what you think. Type Y for yes, in for no. Is Tuesday going to be the night? Weigh in and let us know. Today's show is sponsored by Game Time. Game Time is the place to go for the best seats, the lowest prices guaranteed. Whether you're looking for tickets to sporting events, concerts, theater productions, comedy shows, and more, Game Time's got you covered. Game Time is focused on togetherness this holiday season. That means when you bring people together at live events, the experience is that much better, and it's the perfect gift. Game Time is a new feature called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets to see your favorite teams play live even easier. Game Time Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. They have their super deals. If you're looking for a way to save some money, there's no better option than Game Time, folks. They have their seat views. You can get the visual, see what the seat is like. You can also customize your spot as well. Your purchase is covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code ChatSports for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code CHATSPORTS for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game Time The link is in the comments and the description of today's video. Let's talk about the starting quarterback for Penn State. That is Drew Allar. Drew Allar looking to have his moment, his time to shine, as you could argue he might be the best quarterback remaining in the college football playoff at this point in time. And you look at Drew Allar, there's been a lot of doubters out there about his abilities. And we've seen Penn State with their track record of quarterbacks, historically speaking, they've struggled to be elite. Now he's got a chance to prove something, that he belongs, that he is one of those top guys, and he can do so with a big game in the Fiesta Bowl. So far this season, Allar has thrown for 21 touchdowns, close to a nice number of 69% completion percentage, over 3,000 yards, and 7 interceptions this season. Historically speaking, when you talk about the Fiesta Bowl, you can't ignore the magical moments we've seen from the Boise State Broncos over the years. They are no stranger to State Farm Stadium in Glendale, Arizona, where their biggest moments as a program have happened in this very bowl game, including the 2006 Fiesta Bowl, where they beat the Oklahoma Sooners in overtime. We all remember the infamous hook and ladder and then Statue of Liberty play with Ian Johnson getting the touchdown to defeat Adrian Peterson in his final game with the Oklahoma Sooners. And that led to a marriage proposal after the game from Ian Johnson. Jared Zabransky was the quarterback for that Boise State team. Chris Peterson, now retired, was the head coach for that Boise State team. Some incredible memories for Boise State in that game. They also defeated TCU when both programs were on the coming up back in 2009, and then also got a win against Arizona. But that was 10 years ago, folks. 2014, when they last won the Fiesta Bowl, 38-30 over Arizona. The Broncos 3-0 all-time in the Fiesta Bowl. A lot of questions about James Franklin. Can he get it done in the big game? Big game James, as they call him. And you think about it, it's no secret that although James Franklin has done a very good job with this Penn State program, they've yet to take that next step up to compete. And Penn State was viewed as a program with this expanded college football playoff that would really benefit, as there was not a team in the previous 4-team era, had there been 12 teams that would have made it more times than Penn State, that didn't make it in the 4-team system. This really played to their benefit. Now can they step up and take advantage of that? James Franklin, all-time, is 1-18 against top 5 teams. Now, it is worth noting, Boise State, although they're the number 3 seed, they're not ranked as the number 3 team in the country, but they are considered a top seed in this playoff. A lot of pressure on James Franklin to get the job done on this stage. Franklin, after the loss to Ohio State, one of his more notable big losses this year, he said this: you don't do that without passion, and there's great things that come from that, and there's hard things that come from that, and that's part of the job, and I own all of it. James Franklin acknowledging firsthand that he has had his struggles in these moments in the past. Do you believe in James Franklin? Is this going to be the game that James Franklin gets over the hump and wins on a big stage? Are we going to finally see Keegan-Michael Key get that win that he's been looking for? Type B for believe, D for don't. Weigh in the comment section to let us know if you think this is the time, the moment for James Franklin. One battle to watch for both these teams is going to be how Tyler Warren fares against Nickel Rodney of Boise State. This is going to be one of the key matchups on Tuesday night between these two. Warren, he reminds me a lot of Brock Bowers. Brock Bowers was terrific in college, one of, if not the best college tight ends we've ever seen. And now he's having a historic season with the Las Vegas Raiders this season and looks well on pace to be one of the best tight ends in the National Football League. And Warren is very similar and means a whole lot to this Penn State offense. So far this year, he's had close to 1,100 yards receiving, 92 catches, 6 touchdowns. He is going to be a problem for Boise State to deal with. And primarily for most of the night, we are going to see Nickel Rodney on coverage here of Tyler Warren. And his stats this season, he's been pretty solid. 47 tackles, 6 TFLs, 2 pass breakups, 3.5 sacks. How will he be able to hold up? That remains to be seen, but that's going to be the biggest challenge for Boise State, is doing what they can to minimize Warren's impact, and it's going to be a tough assignment ahead for Nickel Rodney. So to recap, what to watch for in the Vrbo Fiesta Bowl, the Ashton Jeanty show. Will he break Barry Sanders' record? We shall see. Drew Allar, is he going to have his moment on this stage? Can Boise State keep up the Fiesta Bowl magic that we've seen over the years? Will James Franklin finally get that big win he's been looking for? And how will things go for the matchup between Tyler Warren and Nickel Rodney? We shall see. My pick for this game, I'm calling an upset, folks. I'm going to go with Boise State to get the job done, to keep that Fiesta Bowl magic. I think Jeanty goes off. He breaks Barry Sanders' record, and the Broncos advance to the college football playoff semifinals with a close 31-28 victory over Penn State. Folks, make sure and join us for our live coverage of the college football playoff quarterfinals, as well as the semifinals and the national championship, right here on College Football Now by Chat Sports. Subscribe now for free, youtube.com/ChatSportsTV. I'm Tyler Jones. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.